Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. I am Nancy White, the host of this show, and here we talk about our healthy mind, our body, and our spirit. And we need to nurture all three every single day, or one of those areas are going to start letting us know that it's been left out and neglected. But as my dear friend Paula Fellingham, the founder of Win Win Women TV, says, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. And we love to learn different ways and different information from experts. And I have an amazing guest with us this evening. Erica Hoke is a fertility coach. And we don't hear very much about fertility coaches, but we are going to this evening. Erica, welcome, and thank you so much for your willingness just to come and share just a little bit of your expertise.
Thank you so much for having me tonight, Nancy. And I'm really hoping that there's somebody out there listening that this is going to really be eye-opening for.
Absolutely. And I love because finding wonderful resources like you, Erica, because women and some men, but mainly women, love to share good news and good resources. And we're going to make sure that they're going to have your resources before we end. But we're going to talk a little bit this evening just about self-advocacy in the medical world regarding pregnancy. And so many times people, especially women, just go by what the doctors say. It's just a blanket thing or whatever. But Erica's going to share with us some amazing things about self-advocacy. We're also going to talk about dealing with the trauma of infertility. And yes, it's one of those silent things that a lot of women stuff down, and they are really crying and so sad on the inside. But again, she's our expert, and we're also going to touch on how we can have a healthy body during pregnancy. So just a little bit about Erica. She is, again, a fertility coach. She's an author, a publisher of, and a mother of 4, all born without the help of reproductive after she was told she would need donor eggs. Her life mission revolves around empowering women grappling with infertility. Following a daunting prognosis at 35 of less than 1% chance of a natural conception, Erica defied the odds, rejecting the conventional all or nothing approach. Instead, she embarked on an alternative journey to uncover the root of her infertility issues. And you know what? Her relentless pursuit led her to become the proud mother of 4 beautiful children without the help of reproductive medicine. And the last was born when she was 43. I know she looks so beautiful, it doesn't even can't tell that she's had 4 children, much less, after 40, well, by the last one at 43. But that was 7 years after she was told that she wouldn't be able to conceive with her own eggs. Erica firmly believes that her approach isn't exclusive. Thousands of women have successfully unearthed the root causes of their fertility issues. And with courage, determination, and the right guidance, you can too. Welcome again, Erica. I'm so grateful that you are here, and you definitely have experienced life. And we've heard just a little bit about your personal infertility experience, but what was it that really made you decide this time in your life that you're going to be helping so many other women?
Well, again, thank you for having me, Nancy. And there's someone out there right now listening to this, or maybe somebody has a friend who needs to hear this story, because the reason that I do this is because someone has just left a doctor's office today. Someone has just gotten the same news that I got, that they have very little chance, or they've gotten that prognosis, or maybe they got their period today and today is not, this month is not their month to get pregnant, and they're pretty hopeless. And I want them to know that there's so much that's in their control, that that diagnosis or prognosis does not define you. And that's really the driving force behind me sharing my story, sharing other women's story of infertility success, and trying to put the tools into women's hands to not only be empowered in the medical community, but make significant and impactful changes to their diet and lifestyle so that they can get the results that they want so that they can get pregnant.
Well, that is so fantastic. And I was so excited when we were going to have our show before, and then life happened. And then when we came around again, and my brain already started going, I need to share this with this lady. I need to share this with this lady. And that's the
Thank you.
beauty
Yeah.
of women, is that we love to share great information and resources. So when we talk a little bit about self-advocacy, and I can remember being raised with three brothers, and I used to tell them, "You're not the boss of me," but self-advocacy. What does that really look like, and what does that mean?
Well, you want to find a doctor that you can collaborate with. You don't want to be dismissed for your questions. You don't want to be dismissed for asking for a change in protocol. You really want to have control, right? You want to have some control over what procedures are being done, the path going forward. And that doesn't always happen with reproductive medicine. A lot of times it's very rigid and it's not personalized. And so when we talk about self advocacy, we're talking about personalized and tailored care and protocols that are just for you and that you get your questions answered. And that doesn't mean, so often women say to me, but they're the experts. Don't they know everything? Don't they test for everything? And I have not had a single client that has come to me that has said, well, they've tested me for a million things. And I said, well, I bet they haven't tested you for these 10 things, or maybe we need to test for 1,000,001 because there's still not, you're still not pregnant. And we need to get to the bottom of what your body is trying to tell us. So that's kind of self-advocacy in a nutshell, because nobody knows your body better than you do, right? As women.
Absolutely. And I think this is a wonderful time too, Erica, to help some people have hope and not false hope. I mean, just like you said, have you tried that 101 or whatever it is?
Mhm.
But just having that time just to talk to somebody else freely, and not feeling like, ashamed or going, defeated or whatever that is. So I think that's fantastic, because again, doctors are trained and they're experts in their field, but still every single person is a
Mhm.
unique individual. And so a lot of times, when we were just talking about too, so women don't want to talk about the failures. They don't want to talk about
Yeah.
the miscarriages. They don't want to talk about all the different things, or, trying and trying and trying, and just always, like you said, the period starts again, and they're just,
Right.
deflated. So what do you suggest, especially dealing with the trauma of infertility? What are things that you tell your clients?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, just recognizing that infertility in itself is a trauma. I think that that's somewhat eye-opening or new information to some people. But what I say to people is imagine your three best friends or your three closest family members, and then think of them dying consecutively 1 month after another. And that's the kind of trauma that these women are experiencing when they have losses, repeat failed procedures, when they get their cycle, every month. It is indeed like losing anybody that you care about. And so that trauma has to be addressed. And so I put them through a series of somatic practices where they tune into their body, and it's I have a team basically is what I'm trying to say. I am not a somatic practitioner, but I have a really great team, and they process their emotions on a monthly basis. So they process whether they're grieving, whether they're angry that month, any wide variety of emotions. She walks them through that process of kind of clearing that and not stuffing that 800-pound gorilla back in the cage for the next month and like kind of bootstrapping it and like, let's get back out there and try again. No, we can't do that. We have to process those feelings as they're happening, because what ends up happening is that when you do get pregnant and you do have that baby, and then all those emotions come out, and we want you to have the best possible outcome and the best possible start to motherhood. So journaling, like strike through journaling, um, AFT and EFT, somatic practices, and those type of things to process. And those are all self-led, by the way. So you're not having to. So many people, I do recommend therapy as well, licensed mental health counseling. However, not everybody can do that, is willing to do that. It's not necessarily always the right fit. So these allow people in the privacy of their own home to resolve some of that intense emotion that builds up over time and every month.
Absolutely. And I loved how you say that you want to create that clearing to help clear, and I'm always believing for myself, even in all my emotions, we're always releasing so we can receive. And most
Right.
women are stuffers of emotions. And I know
Yes.
I learned a decade ago when I discovered holy yoga, how we keep all of our emotions in our hips and thighs. I thought, well, I'm getting rid of that because I don't want any more hips and thighs. But we
Yeah.
have to learn those different ways again, because if we keep stuffing, and I believe that's one way too, Erica, to sell. Some things, like you said, are passed down from one generation to another.
Mhm.
And that precious little baby, has been part of all this emotional stress that has been shoved down. And so
Right.
I think it's a fantastic holistic way of wellness to help with that mother and that new little
Right.
baby. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So the trauma of infertility can also affect men, can it not?
It can, a third of all couples facing infertility challenges are because of male factor infertility. And it's not something that I focus on a ton. It's kind of trickles through my clients, right? Because men aren't actively seeking what supplements they should be taking. They're relying on their partner or their spouse to do that for them, typically. Um, so I do provide some support in that way, but it's primarily, for the woman looking to make holistic lifestyle changes.
It is. So,
Yeah.
what has been one of the most successful clients, if no names or anything, that you have?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had this dear client come to me. She was in her early 40s. She had never been pregnant, and she had done a few retrievals and gotten a few eggs, but not very many, a few like under five, which is really a low quantity. And she talked to me about what she would have to do, and one of the things was give up her beloved coffee, which it's almost like you almost like can't say that out loud in America. Like you might have to give up your coffee. It's not a joke. I don't mean to make light of it. It's really hard to feel like you don't know if this is going to make a difference,
Mhm.
and give a lot of those kind of things up. So I don't mean to, make light of that. But we talked about the reasons why, and I explained to her how it affects your gut health, it depletes minerals, it dehydrates you, all the things that we don't want to see happening while you're trying to conceive. So she went through the 3-month program, which is Nurture Path Fertility Incubator, and she did a retrieval. She got 11 eggs from
Mhm.
that retrieval after the 3-month program, and they did a transfer. And the first time it did not work, but she had eggs still. And remember, she had never been pregnant, and she delivered her son in February of this past year. So, um, yeah, it's really humbling to see something like that happen. But uh, I have to think that I played a small part in her success.
Oh, I don't think it was a small part, Erica. I think it was a large part. But and just like you say, some of the things that we want to have to give up temporarily to be able to receive some,
Yeah,
I think that's human nature. Not just
sure.
for this, but for anything, when somebody tells you, well, you need to stop doing this so that, whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah,
So I've also had a friend too that she has had a real challenge over the years, and they, harvested some of her eggs and her husband's sperm, and she's got some fertilized eggs. So
yeah.
what is that about? And they can plant a fertilized egg.
Yeah, which I'm sorry, what's the question?
Okay, so is that something that's very common that people do?
So
Mhm,
I'm guessing that she has some frozen eggs that are kind of held back that she's storing,
mhm,
something like that. Well, it is something that happens in the infertility world, because you're looking for multiple embryos, as many as possible, not to be transferred necessarily for pregnancy, but you know, it's a process. So they do the retrieval, and they either do a fresh transfer of that embryo and that the egg and sperm, and then transfer it, or they freeze them. Pardon me. And so if they freeze them, it's for the future so that if that fresh transfer fails, then they have the ability to already not have to start from square one and go back and get more embryo.
yeah. Uh, You go ahead and get a sip of water. Yeah, listen, because I know what it's like when it starts choking and you just gotta go, okay, I just gotta breathe and just sort of clear my throat. And it's just like when anybody's choking, I'm telling them, keep coughing, keep coughing.
Yeah,
So it clears it out because as long as you're keeping coughing, that means you're still breathing. And so
right, right.
it's like when your children cough. Keep coughing, keep coughing. I know. I've
My
always
apologies.
interesting why would parents would always slap them on the back and pat them on the back. And I'm coughing.
Right.
So just make the parents feel better. But anyways, so then do they thaw the eggs out before they just inseminate? Mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to be transparent and just let you know, like, I don't really delve into a lot of the minutia of the transfer and that kind of thing. I'm more of a support for making sure that the body is just the healthiest it can be for the transfer, and improving egg quality and
Mhm.
improving a woman's chances that way. So I'm not that kind of fertility coach. I'm a holistic fertility coach, but there are women out there that will tell you exactly how to inject the medicine and where to do it and how to do it, and all the things. But that's not my area of expertise. I'm more diet and lifestyle changes, and working with women to mitigate their stress, and come up with like a family plan with their husband, which might sound a little strange, but if you know where you're going and you know how many of those steps you're willing to take, it
Mhm.
really lessens some of the stress. So, if you know that you're willing and have the money to do, so many transfers for IUI, and then you're going to switch to IVF or something like that, it really helps to have a plan. So I don't get into I don't get into the medical stuff too much.
Well, I love it because you just led us right into our next topic was
Oh,
talking about our healthy body during pregnancy. And I've heard some women too talking, in the past about how, oh, it's too late. I've already, I've been drinking wine. I've been doing all this kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah. I'm so afraid. But, and I think it's really important if you are trying to get pregnant, like Erica
mhm,
is, just like you said, planning, then you're going to try to take care of your temporary temple and get it strong and healthy as it can
sure.
be, cleaning the nest, as we call it, and getting things
Yeah.
in a place to where when that baby, that fertilized egg happens, it's got a beautiful
Mm.
little healthy haven. So, what are some things that you really encourage women to talk about or to do, for their bodies during their pregnancy?
Yeah. Well, I want your listeners to understand something. I was not just 35 years old and I had a 1% chance. I had 7 different fertility or reproductive inhibiting diagnoses, 7, on top of being 35. So I want to point that out because I always say I'm the least likely to conceive. If there was a little award that I got a badge for, it would be that. And so I feel pretty strongly, that there's a lot of women out there that can be helped by these diet and lifestyle changes. And really, it's it's a little bit common sense. Of course, we go into very, specific, but overall, it's whole foods.
Mhm.
Um, so eating as little refined and processed food as you can, including fried foods, taking healthy supplements. I see a lot of talk out there in the fertility world about supplements, and I'm sure that you have a lot of conversations on your platform about supplements. But if you're not taking the right ones and you're taking synthetic supplements, then you're really taxing your kidney and your liver, which is where a lot of your hormones are processed. And so things like that, along with um, hydration, but it really comes down to managing your stress, managing your diet and lifestyle, doing the things that you know that you're supposed to do. And everyone says, well, that sounds really easy. What do I need you for? Right? Well, it's like a personal trainer. We all know how to get in there and pick up the weights, but do we do it? You know? So, and also it's what I touched on with you before, which is the having the support there and knowing that what you're doing, knowing the reason why maybe you should stop drinking coffee, or abstain until you heal your gut. We talk a lot about gut health. And for all the reasons that I mentioned before, it's a mineral depleter, it's a dehydrator, makes your body acidic, all of those things. So um, it is broad brush, but it's also very specific towards that person, because just like your medical practitioner, I want to make sure that you get personalized care. So
Absolutely. And in this day and time, just like I've shared a lot with even my clients, we're living in a combative zone. It's not just
sure.
what it used to be 50 years ago. And when you look and see what your food is being treated with, or even how it's
Hmm.
being grown, or the fake foods and all the other
Right.
things, and then we're being bombarded all the time with things that we don't see. And so
That's right.
having somebody, Erica, for just like what you're doing, is going,
Mhm.
this is your body's transforming, and you got
Right.
to give it some time, because it's like getting rid of impurities and toxins, on that cellular level, but then
Right.
getting built back up again. And
That's right.
unfortunately, in this day and time, this is going to be a continual maintaining and doing the things even after you're pregnant. I mean, even
Yeah.
while you're nursing and doing the things.
Yeah.
And so I think
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. That's one thing that I forgot to mention. It is a detox and replenish, and that is another area that I focus heavily on is detoxing personal care items and products. Because if you can go Google it right now, like the National Institute of Health, um, states on their website that these endocrine disrupting chemicals in our personal care products make natural conception harder and make IVF treatments less likely to happen. And so, our own government is telling us, these things that you're putting in your body and on your body are actually endocrine disrupting chemicals. And all that means is hormones, right? They're hormone disrupting chemicals. And so that's a big part of what we focus on too.
I know, and I'm not going to get political and
Political.
go into the weeds, but you know what? If they put the warning out, then why are they
Right.
allowing it in the products?
Mm,
That's another whole topic. So
yeah.
it is, but
That's yeah,
yeah,
have to zip it on that.
can of worms will, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But teaching women too to read the labels. I mean, years ago,
Right.
I went through all my products, just like
Mhm.
you're talking about. And if they had certain things in it, they were be thrown out. I didn't even care if it was new and whatever. I wasn't even going to wash the dog with it. So I mean,
Right.
so, but you have to be able to read and to know what you're putting into your body, and what the chances are that it has a long-term effect. That's
Right.
something I think in our mind, for the United people, especially in this country, we don't look at the things that we're doing today that are going to affect us 10, 15, 20 years down
Right.
the road, because we're such, when you talked about giving up
Instant.
your coffee,
Yeah.
we
Instant
just so much.
gratification.
Yeah, we want that
Yeah.
instant gratification, and we don't want to sacrifice now for the good for the long term. So
Right.
but I'm just telling.
Well, Yeah, a couple things about that. I mean, I will tell you that I would not be able to help my family the way that I have and my children if I hadn't gone through my infertility journey. So it has been, it has been a blessing
Mhm.
um, in that way because now I'm able to pass that generationally on to my kids. And I
Absolutely.
forgot the other point.
What an incredible gift it is too. And
Yeah.
it's just like, when you know the truth and you can keep things simple, then
Hmm.
and it's just like even for people that I've worked with over 17 years, I can remember people saying, "How long I have to do this?" And I'm sitting there going, "We're working on your healthy lifestyle. That's called
Hmm.
lifestyle." And so you
Right.
continue on, working towards improving and maintaining and get
Yeah.
over the challenges, because everybody gets to go through challenges while we
Yeah.
work with these temporary temples. But you know,
Yeah.
so I knew our time was going to fly when we started talking. But Erica, tell us a little bit, because I know that you've got a new book, and
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about. Great, congratulations on that. But what is your
Thank
book
you.
about?
So it's an infertility success series. I'll point here over my shoulder. It's a 4-part series. It's available on Amazon, and the first 2 books are infertility success stories of help and hope for your journey, and then more stories of help and hope for your journey. And those are about. It's a collaboration. And so each of the women told their stories from a rear view mirror standpoint, not just as a memoir to be able to, share their story. That would have been valuable enough. But we really wanted to stop as they were telling the story and say, I wish that I had had this test here. I wish I had done this. I wish I had asked this question. This is where you need to advocate for yourself. So there's tips throughout each chapter, and at the end of each author's chapter, you can contact them for more information or reach out to them and just ask them questions because we really wanted it to be a resource for those women out there that are hurting and that are not on social media because they can't see the birth announcements, the pregnancy announcements, the gender reveals all the time. So we wanted it to be a resource for friends and family to pick up and say, I don't know what's going on. I don't need you to tell me exactly what's going on, but here, I think that this might help you. I hope that this will help you. So that's the first 2 books. Book 3 is about the trauma, postpartum trauma and infertility. And so that's infertility success to postpartum mess. And then the 4th book is infertility success stories of faith and miracles. So both of those last 2 books are really shining a spotlight into the dark and shameful places that women find themselves in as they go through infertility. We talked about the trauma. And so what happens is if you don't process the trauma, then here you are, a new parent, and all that trauma comes out, right? You think the whole time that you're pregnant, your baby's going to die. All during childbirth, you feel like someone, you're going to die or the baby's going to die. You bring this baby home and you think that everything is going to kill them, and it's about anxiety and postpartum because of your unresolved infertility trauma, right? And the same thing with book 4, women questioning their faith walk or, their faith walk being strengthened by their infertility journey. So we really just wanted to give a voice to women to say, our God is big enough for you to question or feel angry because women really feel punished by infertility and that it's something, something that they did. So it's really stories of women's wrestling with their faith as they go through the infertility journey.
Wow, that is absolutely fantastic, Erica. And so, what is the easiest way for people to get in touch with you?
They can visit my website. It's just my first and last name. It's Erica with a C. And then it's Hoke, like hope, but with a K. So Hoke, ericahoke.com. Or they can find me on Instagram at infertile mom of 4.
I love it. Infertile mama for that's an
Yeah.
oxymoron. I know.
Yep.
I love it, love it. Oh, well, again, thank you so much for your willingness just to come. And I think we might have to have you back later because we've got
Oh,
so much more I would love just for you to share and touch on. But
I
in
would
the
love to.
I would love just to have you anytime. So I want to encourage everyone, check out some of the other Win-Win Women TV shows, and you will find great resources to become educated, knowledgeable, encouraged, and just inspired. And join me, find me at thehealthysaleschick.com, and I would love to talk about your healthy lifestyle and cheer you on for what you're doing. And then if there's areas that you might like to have a little suggestion to become enhanced or whatever, I've got 30 plus years of all this walking around information that I would love to share some tips with you. But again, thank you, Erica, so much for your time. And yes,
Of
I'll look
course.
forward to our next exciting episode.
Sounds great. Thank you, Nancy.